House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
All right, guys, we got a ton of positive feedback in every sort of way after last week's segment on bonding insurance, why you need to secure your assets. So we are moving forward with Liz and Gina from RE/MAX Diamond Realty Guam. And now that we have completed construction of our home in theory, we've got the bonding insurance, we made sure that all of our debts were covered. Now we're moving towards the homeowners policy.
Yes.
Now we can move in.
Yes.
Now we make sure that everything's covered.
Yes.
We've moved in now.
Yes.
Okay, this is a traditional insurance policy where we have a premium, we make monthly payments. This isn't anything outside of the normal, I would assume, right?
You're talking about the homeowners policy?
Yeah, the homeowners insurance.
Yes, I mean, the way I've seen it work with insurance companies is, first of all, they're going to insure you based on value. They don't normally insure the value of the land. It's just the value of the home itself, the replacement value.
Okay.
So if you happen to have an appraisal report, let's say you did bank financing, you have the appraisal report, they will take the value from the appraisal report. So they, more often than not, they'll say, hey, can I get a copy of that appraisal report so we can review it? And then from there, they'll give you a quote.
Okay, can I just ask something real quick? Because you said it only covers the home, not the land, right? If I can use you as an example, you've said a couple times, I know when we've talked in the halls, that you've actually got flood insurance.
Yes, I have flood insurance.
Does that cover the certain parts of like the land? Because if you've got like a little garden out there and it gets washed out and say like you lose, you know, you grow tomatoes or something like that, that's a loss for you.
Only if my tomatoes were covered. So I had to have made arrangements with the insurance company to say, you know, this area that I'm farming is of value to me. But generally speaking, no. My tomatoes are not covered.
Okay.
Here's the way my flood insurance works.
Again, only for the house.
It's to cover damage caused by flooding to my home. And by the way, I've come to realize over the years, if you're in an area that's not designated a flood area, you cannot just go to your insurance company and say, I want to buy flood insurance. It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have to be in an area that's designated a flood zone of some sorts.
And that's a different insurance, the flood zone.
Yeah, so it's on top of my homeowner's policy. So when I moved in, I knew I needed to cover my home. So if something happens, earthquake, typhoon, vandalism, and there's some other riders in there. If those things occur, I'm going to be covered under my homeowner's insurance policy. But I'm in a flood zone area. So in a flood zone area, if my house is damaged because of flooding, it won't be covered by my typhoon or earthquake policy, my homeowner's policy. I had to go out and get flood insurance.
Okay, Liz.
As separate.
Yeah,
separate policy.
Can I ask you now, because this is where my mind is going with this, right? So I understand the whole thing about it covers the home, right?
Yes.
Understood. You know, structure. How about infrastructure though? Because obviously, if you have plumbing, that's going to be in the ground. I mean, it connects to the house clearly, but what if the pipes underground get damaged?
I mean, if you get damaged, let's say there's an earthquake, because earthquake is covered in the homeowner's insurance.
Yes.
And there's an earthquake and it damages the tile and the plumbing. What will normally happen is an adjuster will have to come out to assess the damage, and they would come out actually to see, is it in fact earthquake damage, or so that's their line of work, that they will do their inspection just to determine, was this just recent? Did the earthquake create this? And then they would assess the value of the repair. And of course, each insurance has their own inspectors, and then they would formalize what their payment would be for that damage.
But again,
is it covered?
Any claims would be made on the plumbing itself, which was underground, not necessarily on the tree that got uprooted next to the plumbing.
If it is,
right.
yeah.
Okay, so that's where it lies. So the structure of the home includes the infrastructure.
To some degree, yes. It's in the fine print, Jason. Each homeowner will have to discuss this with their insurance company. In my particular fine print, bursted pipes are covered for my home. Earthquake, if it's caused by earthquake damage, it's covered for my home. But every person has to check with their insurance company. I don't know what their policy looks like.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to look at it, because each of your
it.
rider covers certain things. And you, of course, you want to pick a company that will cover as much as they can, because what happens is when a typhoon hits and the insurance company says, well, that's covered, that's not, or an earthquake, that's covered and that's not, and you're looking at them like, hey, I paid for this, and my expectation is you'll cover this. From all of our experience, we found that the insurance companies may say, I'm sorry, that's not covered, and you're surprised. So it'll behoove you to really ask those questions on the front side. Because if you don't, because we've had different experiences with insurance companies, luckily the ones we've been fine, but I've heard stories from people who had all the insurances, but when the time that they needed that, the insurance company didn't cover. There was something in the fine print that didn't cover certain items.
Okay, again, as my realtors, the two of you, right, helping me get the home of my dreams where I'm going to spend the rest of my life happily so, right? My life is in your hands, basically, right? As far as
your life is in your insurance company's hands.
Well, that is my question. How far can I go to working with you to make sure that all of this paperwork and all of these policies are set up, and then at what point do you have to say, okay, this is as far as we can go within our scope of work. You've got to deal directly with the insurer or the bank or engineers.
You know what? For me, you always deal directly with the company. What I do as part of my service is I guide you to ask the right questions. Have you checked this?
Okay.
Have you, do you need flood insurance? Do you need content insurance? Do you need renter's insurance? That's where I come in. I guide you.
Okay, that's good enough for me.
Go ask this, go ask that. Because sometimes you don't know to ask. You think that your homeowner's policy is going to cover renter's insurance. It does not.
Okay.
Tenants have to get renter's insurance. So that's a separate thing. So when a renter comes in, you prepare the lease. We usually say you should have renter's insurance, because if the plumbing broke, they can't go to the landlord and say, hey, your plumbing broke and my personal effects were damaged. Renter's insurance cover that sort of thing. See, some people don't know that.
Okay, how about transfer of policy? Or say I do have the home of my dreams, and then 5 years from now, my dreams change, and I was like, wow, I just won the lottery or something like that, and I'm married into a very good family, and she's got an incredible house that I'm moving into and everything like that. What happens to the rest of my policy? Does it have to kind of ride out its current term until it's renewable, or
if you sell the property, the policy terminates. I mean, you need to go when you sell a home. You need to notify your insurance company that your policy, that you've sold the home effective this date. So they terminate the policy, and hopefully you get a refund for the difference.
Okay.
Yeah, but it terminates.
So it pretty much does work like auto insurance.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, but one advice for people is if you sell the home, make sure you go back to insurance company, because there could be a residual value that you could get as a refund.
Okay, I am feeling a lot better about insurance. This is something that really, honestly, drives my blood pressure, up.
Yeah.
I get,
Well, did you notice I have a lot of policies?
Yeah, really. But that's because you're smart, and that's why I'm glad I have friends like you. So thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you for watching. That is all the time we have, but hope you were taking notes, and hope if you have any more questions, you call the lovely ladies and gentlemen over at RE/MAX Diamond Realty Guam. You can check them out. Just Google them. As for us, that's our time, and we will see you next time.
Closed captioning.